also announce it that we have started. Pa, 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 pa. And let me check it if everything is correct and good.
I'll post about it on my Blue Sky too.
Thank you for that. Okay, let me. Oh yeah, I did this. Nice. Okay, it seems everything is working correctly. I announced it. I tagged your Twitch and the games page as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us know if everything is working correctly on both of our ends. Please let us know so we can start. I'm not sure why I'm talking like a robot, but
welcome to the
podcast. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, let us know. Hölgyek, urak, tudassátok velünk, hogyha jól működik minden. I will check if my noise cancellation thing is working. Also, oh, not this way. Oh, okay. Nice. Hölgyek, urak, tudassátok velünk, hogyha működik az audio, a videó, minden jó. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, and like I'm always saying, at the end of our interview, you'll be able to ask questions, so also feel free to do that. If you ask during the interview, I will go back and reread the chat, so every question will be delivered. Minden faja? Okay, super. Okay, they are saying that everything is working perfectly then.
Okay. Everything is working. I am working. I'm hydrated.
Go for that.
There.
Health
hydration
first, right?
achieved.
So, yeah, exactly. I have even points on my Twitch channel so people can read them it, and I'll have to drink. But I always forget to drink, I can tell you that.
Me
Especially when I play games, I'm into games, and then I just totally forgot. I say thank you for the hydration, read them, but I forget to drink. Yeah, it is what it is.
Water close by anyway when somebody
same
to drink something.
Same. The same, yeah, and like we gamers do not want to like go for something to get some drink, yeah, it is what it is, yeah. Let me know, my friend Ozan.
Oh yeah, no,
nice.
I mean, you're the showrunner. Questions.
No, you are the main person here. No. Yeah, I'm just a guy asking questions and leading the game industry for the better. Yeah. Okay, so welcome everyone in the very new episode of my Dev Live show. I'm here today joined with Ozan, who is the creator of the game called The Holy Gosh Darn, and also created other awesome games in his career. And I'm very honored that you joined us for today's episode. I'm very thankful as well. Like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please introduce yourself for us.
All right. Oh, this is always hard. I never know where to start. Hello, everybody. I'm Ozan. I've been a game developer for 10 years now.
Okay.
So I started off as an animator, or like that's what I wanted to be. And then I got sick of animating, but I also still like animating. But I do mainly, like in Perfect Paranormal, I do lots of things. But like I'm mainly a writer now, so I do narrative design, dialogue, story, whatever is needed. So I have done our 3 games, Manuel Samuel, Helheim Hassel, and The Holy Gosh Darn, as like the creative director, because I know like I have a bunch of lore and stuff in my head about the world and like how characters act and stuff. So I'm directing the team like in the creative world building or how things should look and stuff. But I don't know anything about like coding or any technical things. I'm not
I
smart
see.
enough for that. So, but I do like I mainly write the story, set up the dialogues. I do all the animations still. I also do the voice direction, and I do the placeholder voices, which I
Okay.
think is important because then you know how things should be, and that saves a lot of time when directing. But I also do like freelance writing, so I
Oh,
have done the
nice.
dialogue for a game called My Child Lebensborn, which
Okay.
came out in 2018 and won a BAFTA and stuff. And I've done the dialogue and some narrative design and stuff for a game called Fruit Bus,
Okay.
which is coming out in 1 hour and 45
Oh,
minutes.
oh, nice. Okay, so it's today actually. Nice.
Yeah, today. So like exactly 1 month and 2 days after the Holy Gosh Darn.
Nice, nice, nice,
So
nice.
I also work in my like semi free time with with our musician on a different game too called Love in Space, which is a karaoke musical narrative. It's like a visual novel, but it's not your typical visual novel. We draw all the and on that one I do the graphics. So that's like something I usually don't do that much.
I see.
But I do the graphics on that game. So yeah, but mainly I'm supposed to be a writer, or like that's what I try to focus on
I see.
and learn more about. And if I could, I wouldn't be making that many animations anymore because it takes a lot of time and energy away from the
But
story
you are
which I'm
pretty
doing.
talented in
But
that too. I saw your streams, so you are pretty good at those too, in my
I
opinion.
mean, I only do 2D animation, and I, my objective with animation is always to do it so like fast, but like make it look good.
I
But
see.
it's like never as good as the animations of some like somebody who only does animation. Like they sit and polish the animation and they put in all the principles. Like I don't put the 12 principles in animation in any of the animations I do. I like how fast can I wrap up this animation so that it looks okay and I can move on.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's appealing to people and if that's the art form that delivers for the people throughout your story and with the help of this art that you make, I don't consider it bad, like you said it. Like, of course, there is a comparison between like something and like a more polished one, but like it's for
Yeah,
art. But still, if it delivers, in my opinion, it shouldn't be like criticized and like saying that
it
it's
has
worse or something because it has value, right?
the
So, in my opinion.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just want to make it look. I just want the thing, whatever we're making, to like feel good and have some kind of value, as you
I
say.
see.
I'm not that concerned with like having everything super perfect, at least on
True, true,
the
true, true,
animation.
true.
Like I'll get hung up on small details narratively, and I'll put in like small details in like dialogue and stuff to like feel like the tiniest plot holes that you wouldn't even consider thinking about. And I'm like, sometimes like a character will say something that I'm like, that has to be in there because that explains a bunch of other stuff. um
True.
I have forgotten what I was talking about, and that's gonna happen a lot in this interview, by the
We
way.
talked about
You're
it
gonna ask me
before our
something,
interview
and
that
I'm
we are getting
yeah.
older and forgetting stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
okay.
have severe ADHD too, so like this is how I am. I'll just start rambling, and you'll just have to
No,
stop
I love
me.
that. I love that if
Uh,
people ramble because it really shows that they are passionate about their feelings and thoughts. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about it.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I do narrative design, writing,
I
and
see.
animation mainly,
Okay.
and some graphics, I suppose.
I see. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so my very first question would be what was your very first contact with video games as a player, if you remember those times of yours from the
That
past?
has to be back in the 90s
Okay.
when I was living in Turkey and I
Okay.
got my first Atari. That's what they call it. It's not an Atari. That's just what we called it. It's basically a bootleg Nintendo Entertainment System that everybody called an Atari, and it looked like a Sega, but it played Nintendo games. And yeah, I used to play pirated versions of Super Mario Brothers, and that's what we did. We just played different weird versions of Super Mario Brothers, and we played. My favorite game was Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan
Love
Project.
that. Love that choice. I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan of Turtles. Nice. And Scooby Doo. Yeah, those two, like,
on
shows.
the on the NES,
Yeah,
like
I did.
the
I did. Yeah.
because everybody always has Turtles in Time as their favorite like side scroller Turtles game. But the NES version, Manhattan Project, it plays like Turtles in Time, but it's on the NES.
True, true, true.
So it's a really good game, and I love that game. And then like in the late 90s, I got a PlayStation 1, and I played, what did I play on that? Like Tekken, the Tekken 3 demo
Nice.
and Jurassic Park, but like it was way too expensive compared to the bootleg Atari games. Uh, we did chip the PlayStation at some point. I was still living in Turkey then, so I don't even remember that well anymore. What different games I had, but point is, I never thought about like making games, or I didn't even like think about how they
I see.
make
I
games.
see.
I just played them. But what I was really into was cartoons,
Okay.
and I was a really picky kid when it came to cartoons
I see.
because I did not watch live action stuff ever.
Okay.
Boring for adults. And I did not like even live action stuff like for kids. I only watched like 2D cartoons. And even those, like if they were too realistic, they were too boring for me. Like even something like He-Man, where it's like humans talking, or like anime and stuff with humans. Like I needed like talking animals or like severely stylized characters like Dexter's Lab and Courage the Cowardly Dog, like
Love
Cartoon
that.
Network
Love that. Yeah,
shows.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Johnny Bravo, like they had to be very stylized.
True,
So
true, true.
I loved that, and I knew that I had to become an animator like at a very very young age. Like I must have been like 8 or 9, and I was like, I'm gonna become an animator. And my I had a friend in Turkey, still in Turkey, who had a computer, and computers were really expensive. Like forget about the Atari or PlayStation or whatever. Like I did not have a computer, and I loved when we like visited him, and I was like, he has a computer, I'm gonna check out the computer, like I'll watch him play the computer, I don't care. And one day when I was at his place, he showed me 3 games in the same day, and they all blew my mind. And this was after I already had a PlayStation, so
I see.
I had been playing like 3D games, like I had the Crash Racing and Medieval and stuff, like, but you know the PlayStation
The
graphics.
PlayStation, yeah.
Yeah,
Classics.
and like that for me that was like, yeah, that's what a game looks like. But the reason I like loved Manhattan Project, for example, is that on the NES, that you got pretty close to like a cartoon, especially the
True, true,
intro
true, true,
with the like sprites coming in,
true,
and then they had like remade the intro of the show
true,
in
true, true,
8-bit,
true,
and I was like, man, this is almost like playing a cartoon.
true.
Like I love that game for that reason as well. But then I visit this guy one day, and he shows me Worms Armageddon, which is it was a cartoon. It was
True.
straight up a cartoon, and the worms talked, so it had like voice acting and like proper sounds and stuff, not in 8-bit. And I had played games with voice acting, like Tekken has voice acting or whatever, but they didn't look like cartoons. They were just games for me. But I was like, this is somebody made an interactive cartoon like Worms Armageddon. And then he shows me Monkey Island 3. And I'm like, you get to pick what the guy says. This is just a cartoon movie, and you get to even pick what the guy says, and you're gonna like pick up stuff, and he like there's like a cartoonist sequence when he picks up like a huge pole or something, and he like puts it in his pocket, like, and it's frame by frame animated, and they sing, and it's this character, and he has like a whole story, and I'm like, what? Oh my god! And I thought about those games, and then he showed me Jazz Jack Rabbit 2,
Nice, nice,
and
nice,
that game
nice.
doesn't like that game is sort of like in 16-bit, so it doesn't look as cartoony, but it had that intro again, frame by frame animation, where he like does a bunch of rabbit stuff, and Worms Armageddon as well had those intro sequences that were like just 2D cell shade cells animation, and that blew my mind. And I thought about those games for a long time. I was like, that's so crazy. Like you don't have those games on PlayStation. I did buy Worms Armageddon on PlayStation with my own money. That was after we moved to Norway, but it
I
was
see.
so disappointing because the console version was not like the computer version at all. And I
Yeah.
was like, what is this
Yeah, it
stuff?
was
It's like,
downgraded. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it did not play the same at all. But still, I never considered like how do they make games or
I
anything
see.
like that.
I see.
I just liked those games because they felt like cartoons, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to watch cartoons. So then I got my first computer finally. Got myself the Worms Armageddon. I bought Worms Armageddon again on the computer, played it constantly. And then I figured out how to use Paint and Windows Movie Maker to make my own animations. And then I used the sounds from Worms Armageddon, like the directory. And I can't have been more than 10 or something when
I
I was
see.
doing that. Like
I
I
see.
made a bunch of animations in Paint with Worms animations and with the sounds from the game. I didn't have a microphone or anything yet, so I would like use their voice files to like try to put them in context so that they will like interact with each other and stuff. Or I would use like snippets from songs and stuff, like because back in the day you would download songs on Kaza and BearShare and get a bunch of viruses, but then
True. True. True.
I would like cut
The
those up
pirate
and
days.
yeah, and I would like cut those up and use them like as dialogue in animations I made on Paint. So I was like, yes, I'm gonna become an animator. I don't care.
I see.
But again, I have ADHD, so I hated school and almost every subject. So I was always like a D student, like three out of six on every test and stuff.
I
So
see.
I tried to go to media. I didn't know like what direction to take to become an animator, but I tried to go to like media production stuff
I see.
after middle school. Didn't get in, of course, because it was a popular subject.
I see.
But I did get into like theater drama,
Okay.
and my sister is an actor, so like I looked up to her, and I was like, maybe I'll become an actor, like if I can't become an animator, even though actually I want to become an animator because that's basically acting, but you don't need, like, if I want to make an animation with 10 characters, I can just draw those characters. If I want to make a movie with 10 characters, then I have to find 10 actors, and ugh.
True.
But I was
True.
like,
True.
no, sure, I'll go drama. And I hated it. It was so boring, and the stuff we had to learn and do, like the exercises and stuff for drama. Oh, I hated it. And but I stuck with it. I mean, I don't like to do administrative work. I didn't want to like change schools or anything. I just went through it, and
I
then
see.
after that, when you go to university. So I guess high school was theater stuff.
Okay.
Hated it. That's fine. And then I tried again for university to study animation.
I see.
And there was a subject or like a class in Hamar where I live now that had a bunch of room. Like because before then I only knew about one animation school and they only had 10 spots, and it was 1 year. And I tried to get in there, didn't get in. studied some bullshit for a year to like try again the next year. And then I see like this new class, and they had 40 spots, and it was 3 years, and I'm like, oh yes, I'm gonna become an animator. So I applied there, didn't get in again, but I did apply for art as well on the same school.
I see.
Got in there, and I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll go there. I'll study art, I guess, but I'll hang out with animators and then like learn from them or something. Or maybe I'll just show up to the
I see.
animation
I see.
classes, like whatever. So I moved across the country, and it turns out that there was the animation class and the art class, and they also had a coding class. But at this point, I didn't know what coding was. I didn't even know what it meant or whatever it is. I had no idea. But those three classes, the first year, they were combined.
I see.
So even though I went art, I saw I realized that we actually get to have classes together with the animation
I
students.
see.
So I go to the like the not the showrunner, but the person who runs like that class,
Okay.
and I was like, I'm doing the same classes, or we're all just doing the same classes anyway, and then it like branches out to second and third year. I was like, I'm here anyway. Can't you just like me over to animation instead? And it was like, yeah, that's no problem. And I'm like, yes, awesome, let's go. I'm gonna become an animator. And then, so I show up there and I moved to Hamar, which is like on the other side of the country, or it's like 8, 9, 10 hours away. Uh, and I realized it's not an animation school at all. It's animation for video games, which is like a whole different ball game. I didn't even read that, of course,
Okay.
because I just saw animation. I never like clicked on the
I
thing or
see. I
read
see. I
about
see. I
it.
see.
Uh, I didn't read the small
Side note.
ink, the print,
Yeah.
yeah, the side notes. I was like, yeah, animation, let's go. So I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, games? Like, and then they taught us like action script and stuff, and this is how you make him walk and whatever. And I'm like, no, this is not. Can I have like voice acting? And it was on Flash, so you like, it was really limited, and yeah, like it wasn't what I was imagining at all. Like I wanted to make animation, like shows and movies
I
and
see.
what
I
and
see.
stuff. But I thought, okay, fine, but I'll just stay here, learn whatever I can about animation, and then I'll move on to make TV shows and become an animator, which
I
is my
see. I
dream.
see.
And we do, but then like we make like as assignments, like they would put whoever is studying animation with the artists and programmers, and then like form small groups, and we had like small assignments where we made small games and stuff.
I see.
And I always made a point out of making my games like as animated, and I worked a lot, like, and I learned more animation in my free time. So we made a bunch of games, and on the third year, you get to make like instead of having an exam, you do like a slightly bigger
I
project.
see. I see.
And at this point, I had made, or I had like with a group made a bunch of like small flash games. But now finally, I was gonna get to do like so I wanted to make a pilot for a TV show,
Okay.
and none of my teachers had faith in that. They were like, "You're gonna make a pilot for like frame by frame." So all right, I guess during this you get 4 months to produce that in a group, and they were like, "Yeah, I guess you can make like 40, 50 seconds of animation." And I'm like, "No, it's gonna be 10 minutes." And they're like, "Yeah, no, but that's not gonna happen." But I did it to get along with my group. We worked like around the clock, and that was fine. And they gave us like a top grade and stuff. But I realized it was really limiting to make the TV show pilot thing I made when I was used to making games. Like I hated the fact that you had to like frame and then the 180 rule and then the blah 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 and no interactions and cut together the scenes and stuff. And I'm like, it's so much, and you had to animate everything like all over again for each scene. it was just something different, and I was
I
used to
see.
the interactive part of making games, and I realized like it's more boring to make TV shows than games actually. So I'll just make um games that feel and look like cartoons instead
I
because it's
see.
the aesthetic I like, but I like the interaction of games. So before I ended up there, I never like I didn't know what coding was. I never like considered it for a second like how do they make video games?
I see.
But then um after being there for 3 years, I was like, yeah, no, animation wise, it's more fun to make video games. So then I became friends with Gisle, who's the coder in Perfectly Paranormal,
Okay.
and we had some boring subjects on that school as well, which we like kind of phoned in. You know, we had drama again all of a sudden. Like, I'm like, why are we having drama again? I've been through this shit. So, like, we phoned in those classes and we made like adventure games in our free time instead. And then, and then the rest is history. We just made Manuel Samuel and made Perfect Paranormal and stuff. And yeah, the rest is history. But yeah, and then I got sick of animating too. I was like, I don't want to animate anymore. We have to sell enough copies to hire an animator. That never happened, so I still do all the animations. But I did branch to, um, not branch, but I wrote all of our games uh, all the time. It's not like we hired like a writer or whatever, and I had like all these ideas. I wasn't gonna let anyone else write them anyway. And then I got like, and that's so strange to think that like my entire being was based on I'm gonna become an animator,
True,
and then
true, 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 true. Yeah.
once I
And you
finally
transitioned into
became an
writing, right?
animator, yeah, and I was like, man, I'm sick of animating. I don't want
Yeah.
to animate.
You know
I mean,
what
I
I
still
think,
do
by the
it.
way? You know what I think is that, sorry for interrupting you. I think that you still want to be an animator, but like having combined with writing, in my opinion. I always
Yeah,
say this, that my dev live shows are therapy sessions, not just for me but for my guests as well. And now I'm making this happen live. This magic is that I really feel like from all those things that you just said, is that I'm thinking that you are still in that phase of your life when you would like to do animation for your own cartoons and shows, but with story ideas for your games, right? And it would make sense
yeah,
at the end of the day, because you have this whole like lore for all the games that are connected in one lore, like you told us, and like I understand from your games, and I think it would totally make sense, like to make, for example, a TV show for not just kids but for adults, with all those like
yeah.
crazy stuff
I
happening in the game, and not just in the game, for example, but yeah, for an upcoming show might be a good idea to do that.
the the thing is this. I just want to tell stories actually.
Yeah,
And but the thing is, I know exactly. I have a very clear vision. If I have like an idea for something, I get the vision pretty quickly. And it's not to say that we change the vision as we go. Like I'll realize, oh, that was, but uh, I'm almost always sure like how something should sound and look
I see, I see.
and things when we do the game and or whatever we're making, and then sometimes we'll do it according to my vision and like it doesn't work right, and then I get a new vision maybe. So that's why I'm like, well, I'll animate this because I know exactly how it's gonna go down.
True, true, true.
uh or I'll direct the voice acting because I know exactly what it should like sound like. um what I don't like is all the technical parts of
I see.
like animating, for example, especially for games, because you can't like in the adventure games we make, I would like them to like sit or something, and
I see.
the best way of doing that often could be to just redraw the entire character, but we're like trying to save space and atlas space and things, and and I know there are like good game animators there who would make it work. They would like make a rig and uh weight it correctly and stuff, but like I hate rigging. I think rigging is so boring and like weighting images and stuff. Um so what I actually want to do is just like tell stories. So I wouldn't mind to have somebody else do the visual, like the animations, for example,
I see.
if they knew how to make it exactly the way that I
That is
want
your vision,
them.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why too. Like I write more because
I see.
that's what I realized. Like, and I think I was drawn to animation because as an animator, you can make a lot on your own. You can
True.
draw the
And
background,
it's
and
also stories, right? So if there isn't
yeah,
any story, you make an animation, but it will still end up like a story. So it's basically like writing with the phases of animations or the scenes of animations.
yeah, and it takes a lot of time.
True, true, true.
By the time I'm done with making a 2 minute animation, I have 17 new ideas, and I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to. I'm gonna die before I get to make all this stuff. So like, I
No,
wish I could.
hopefully you won't.
So
Hopefully you
I
won't.
wish I had like there was a way of making all this stuff like faster because it takes a lot
I
of
see.
time when
I
you
see. I see. I see. I see.
if you're gonna sit down and make a whole animation show on your own. Like, yeah, I don't know what the question was anymore, and here we
No,
are.
you
I'm
totally
done
answered.
talking.
You totally delivered that with that answer. Yeah. So what I wanted to ask from you is that, like you mentioned, the whole path and journey, what led you to be a game developer. Uh,
Right.
but what do you think about, like, were your family and friends supportive about this decision of yours? That from being at the drama industry, then at the animator and art industry, you went into making your own games. How do you feel about that? Like, were your family and close friends supportive about this decision of yours?
Um.
That you are making
So
games with your knowledge?
yeah, I mean they. It's annoying with games because it's such a young medium. So it's hard to like make people understand what it is you're making.
True, true, true.
Um, Lots of even smart people. Like I saw a TikTok the other day of Hank Green. You know Hank Green?
I
He's
think
like
I do.
this
Yeah,
smart guy on TikTok. He's
yeah.
like he has a bunch of insight about everything. He's not like a dumb dude. And on TikTok he says, "Oh no, I don't play video games. Like I don't play video games." And the reason why he didn't play video games was because he played Street Fighter 2 once and he didn't like it. So he was like, video games aren't for me. And like, video games are the most diverse medium there is.
True, true,
And
true, true.
there are, like, if you're over, I mean, gamers do get older and older, but there's this entire. Can you imagine if somebody went, yeah, no, I don't listen to music, dude. I just no, like I'm not a music person. Like everybody listens to music.
True, true,
Everybody watches
true,
movies.
true,
It's
true,
not
true,
like
true, true.
you watched Twilight and you went,
And so you're,
ew,
yeah,
that
never,
sucked.
never, ever, yeah,
Yeah, no more
yeah,
movies for me. I'm just gonna
yeah.
and still even movies are still like similar. Like
True,
Twilight and Lord of like there's still a video and it has a soundtrack and it's two to
true,
three
true,
hours.
true,
Like
true,
the most different movies are still so similar compared to the most different games.
true.
So like you hear like old ladies, oh those video games, I don't play video games, and I always say, it's an entire medium. There is a game out there that you could play, even though you're an old lady. And they're like, I don't know about that. I'm like, yes, because
True,
I don't know. Like people just don't get what a game is,
true,
or how diverse they can
true,
be.
true, very true.
Uh, Even people who work with creative storytelling, like, I bet you can go to Stephen King or whoever, like somebody who has worked on stories their entire life, and they're like, "Oh, I have a favorite freaking Greek sculpture or something." Like people who have like, who like consume art and expressions across all fields except video games. Oh no, but that's not for me. Have you played any? No, but my son, he likes that Fortnite or something, and you're like,
It's
all right,
always Fortnite what
cool.
they bring up now. Back
Oh,
then
you
it
make
was shooters, now it's Fortnite. It's also a shooter. It's always like shooting, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like somebody can ask me like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I make video games, and I have 5 commercial video games under my belt, and they're like, oh, all right. But if I said I wrote 5 books or released 5 albums
Then
or did five
they will be like,
movies, and they
wow,
will shit
really?
themselves.
Wow,
Yeah, they will go
really?
like,
Yeah.
what? Whoa!
Where can I
And
buy
like,
them? Yeah, people
like,
are like that. Some of them, yeah, who don't
like Michael
understand games
Lebensborn,
for. Yeah.
which is a Norwegian game entirely made in Norway, it won a BAFTA, and like it was like the media barely cared. And then you have like they go like the second key grip of Fast and Furious is half Norwegian. Like that would be like if Fast and Furious does well on the box office or whatever, and like some person was like involved in making it that's like semi Norwegian, or like if a Norwegian actor has like a
Yeah.
guest role in
Yeah.
like The Martian or whatever, which we had. It's all over media.
Yeah.
Norway is killing it in Hollywood,
Yeah.
and then like you win a BAFTA on an entirely Norwegian made game, and they're like,
True,
all
true,
right,
true.
whatever. What
Ignoring
are
it,
those?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's one of them Fortnites, is it?
Yeah.
So it's hard to explain like what it is I do. I hate talking about it. Like I can see on a person like, oh, you make video games, like board games, or like, and you're like, no, it's like story. Like, I'll go like I'm a writer for video games, and that's even harder to explain to somebody who doesn't know what a video game is. They're like, oh, so you write like the code, and I'm like, no, I write the story, and they're like, there's story in video games, and I'm like, oh god, yeah. But so when I went to drama or theater, that was just middle school, so it
I see.
didn't matter that much. Like you can go take the next step after drama to
I see.
anything
I see. I see. I see.
you want. It doesn't matter that much. Um, but when I went, I was gonna try and do media, and at the very start, like my sister had been in the entertainment industry for not that long, but because it is a long time ago, but long enough, like a decade or
I
something, like
see. I
as
see. I
long
see.
as me. And like I'm almost compelled to, like, if one of my like nephews or somebody was like, I'm gonna make indie games, I would go, don't do that. You're gonna fuck up your life. So my sister was there with me when I was like wanted to make entertainment. She was like, "No, no, no, get like a business degree or something. You're gonna fuck up your life." And I'm like, "Well, I don't think I can work with anything else. Like it has to be something creative." And she was like, "All right, then you're just doomed. Like I'm sorry that means you're the same as me. Like no matter what we say to you, you're gonna pursue something. So go on ahead." So and I just start making video games, and luckily, our first video game, Manual Samuel, did really well, and it did well in Turkey and stuff too, so that like my mom and stuff could like watch the Let's Plays and understand what was going on,
Nice.
and and like that brought them to speed, luckily.
I see.
And then we did like a small adventure game before Manual Samuel on Flash. That was like our first attempt at doing something commercial. That it was back in the Steam Greenlight days, and like I mean they were sportive then, but like as I was going into the animation school and stuff, like I want to be an animator. Uh, Especially my sister was like, "Are you sure you want to get into the entertainment story?" um Industry, I mean, because she knew how much work it is. I didn't back then, I know now. um but yeah, like if I see someone, because you can't be sure, like if a young person is like, I'm gonna be an animator or something, like you don't know if they are committed to the idea
True.
or
True.
if
True.
they
True.
do it because it's
True.
kind of sounds cool. Because if if you're like just kind of into it, I don't think you're gonna make it like as an
True. 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 And
entertainment
even then,
creator.
if you're very passionate about, then it's hard in in this word, right? Because I
Yeah.
think that people were always like that in the creative field. That it's really this like people that not are understanding art won't like hype up that, oh, you are making art, like you said, like, oh, you are making
Yeah.
games, like it will be like more rare. And even now that I feel like even now that we are living in an era where like so many people are playing games, and it's really become like a common thing to play games, and it's like a trend now. Even now a lot of people like do not understand still games. They play it, like they play games, but they, like you said, do not consider it as a form of art, and also like not see behind the curtain, like, yeah, there is a story, yeah, there is a musical part, yeah, there is animation. With those things come a lot of work hours. Like, it's not just I'm always joking with this, but it's true. Like, it's not just one click and the game is done. Like, it's not like that.
No.
But I don't know, I think the problem is really that's the consumer minds, I should say, that we learn that, I don't know, we get money for our job, we buy that money, we, I don't know, buy bread and water and milk and everything that we can eat or consume. And they think of games and every form of media. So a lot of people, not everyone, of course, there are people who are like educated for video games as well, but I think that the real problem is that people who went into like playing games and not be that passionate about games, like we used to have those niche uh, group of people who really cared about video games. Now it's a trend, and a lot of people are do not caring about like video games that much, just playing because, I don't know, their favorite play streamer plays video games, or I don't know, their favorite friend plays video games. And I think it's that cultural lack of lack of cultural knowledge about video games, in my opinion, how they are made, who are making them, like what do they have in it that you should like go for. Is it the story, is it the gameplay, is it the multiplayer, if it's Fortnite, of course, and they can connect you with other people. So every game itself has something to give for the players. I believe in that, and every game in some way is a true piece form of art because it was made by someone. And even if it's like not on an intentional level, but those people will like put their inner self into that game, right? So even if that's not their purpose for the first time that they are making that game or those games that they made. And yeah, I think it's a problem because that's how creators end up like self questioning themselves. Am I good that I'm doing this or that? Am I like, why is that I'm not accepted that much that I want it to be? Am I doing the right, or the wrong thing? And I think that was always there, right? So if you consider any forms of art, like books, paintings, drawings, movies, it was always like that. There were some people who were appreciated only 100 or 1000 years after they died and had everything in their collection for people to consume. And it's stupid because it shows that people do not care what's in the it's in the present or in the past. They really have to bigger up their culture and knowledge about things. And it sucks because it shows that we people have all this information all over the internet, but we do not care about it, right? So it's like all the knowledge is there, we should just chase and search what's good for us and what's not. But we got lazy by that, in my opinion. So yeah.
I think the thing is that uh now that some video games are popular, like a very certain genre of video games are popular, and they get consumed by a lot of people, and they get consumed a lot. They consume a shit ton of games, um, gamers and stuff,
True.
and they have lost. Like, they don't view games as art; view them as, I'm sorry to say, as products.
True,
And they
true,
do
true,
this
true,
with
true. Very
movies
true.
too. People who watch movies, they just consume it.
True, true, true.
And that's because it's like movies and games are the most popular forms of art right
True,
now.
true,
So the more they get consumed, the more they get viewed as products.
true,
Uh, like, nobody is that into paintings that they'll buy a new
true,
painting
true.
every week.
Exactly, exactly,
uh,
exactly. It's getting rare
so
and rare every day. Yeah, exactly.
whoever's into paintings or like theater, you don't sit and wait for the sequel of Matilda, and
Exactly,
you know.
exactly, exactly.
So those are still like art. You go to the theater, you watch an art thing,
True,
and you're like, oh,
true,
that was nice, or oh, you see a painting, and you're like, yeah, that's nice art. But and certain genres of music too, like they have become products, and they even get viewed as products by the people who make them, or by the
true,
people who call
true.
the shots.
Very true.
Like Marvel movies, like what's the on the last ones, like when you do the 48th, and I'm not like the artists working on those movies, of course, are artists and they put their art into the thing, but is the intention of the production of whatever Call of Duty we are on at this point, or whatever Star Wars series that's coming out on Disney, like, is the vision to make some kind of expression
True.
or just money because it's a product? So, um, yeah, no. So people have forgotten that. Unfortunately, most like mainstream gamers just view it as a product, so they have like expectations to the product.
And they cannot like
Uh,
tell to the developers or creators of these projects what their imagination and vision is that they would like to consume, and that's the problem in my opinion as well, that people like wants always games to be good, but I always ask this, okay, then tell me what a good game is for you, and they won't be able to come up with an answer, right? Because their vision is not clear what a good game should be out for there, because it's like you said, it's very true, it's just a product. And I think that not the creators are like in my opinion at least, it's not the creators who are making this, like you said, products like Call of Duty, you mentioned Marvel movies, are the ones who blame we should blame, but the consumers, because at the end of the day they were the ones who might not understand those, back then, when those stories had this very um, understandable and seeable like piece of art in that game or in that movie, and then the creators will be like, okay, I try my best. They do not consume it as an art, they consume it as a product. Why then not to fool them, and why not to make this safe trip with all the games out there, putting out a franchise from year to year? It's easy, we make money, right? People do not care about art, why should we? And it's I think that's the mindset of the people, right? Because at the end of the day you will be burnt out from the people after some years, that you are trying to push your vision to them, but they are not realizing it. Okay, this is the vision. This is something that I could connect to. It's like really that, for example, if you would like to change the world for the better and you have a vision how to do that, or you just want people to be kind, right? And you are putting this message again and again and again, and you are releasing books in this form, or games, or just movies, and people are not consuming. People will say, okay, this creator is stupid, I want to be evil, I want to do bad things, why this person is telling me with his movies that I should be a good person, I don't want to. Then this person, this creator of these movies or books or games, will be like, I tried. It's like 10 years passed. Why am I doing it? People won't change, right? So, and it will happen to the best of us, right? And I think that's the problem with these visions and with these creators of people, that they give up. And of course they will give up. I'm not saying, it's like, I'm not blaming them. It's understandable that most of us will give up at the end of the day, because we have our own life to live, right? And time and clock is ticking at the end of the day, so it's like not forever that we will have this possibility to share our vision. And if we will die and people won't understand, I don't know, just like I said, 100 years later they will say that, oh, Ozan made this game and he really wanted to change the world with his vision, right? We are so happy for it, and if you won't be there anymore to celebrate, it's stupid, right, for the people. But it's sad as well, like that's the sad part in my opinion. And it's really about all of us creators who really tends to have this own vision of theirs out there, in my opinion, because all these stories are always coming from us, right? So even if it's like not a goal to change the world for the better, but we suffered in some ways in our life, or we had some very good moments in our life that we would like to tell stories about, and these are the best stories to tell, right? So if we would come up with a story which is not us or not our own experiences, it wouldn't deliver, in my opinion. It would be like just a story that is out there, and blah 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 blah, this person is good, this person is bad, that's it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you believe?
So,
No, no, go
hmm?
for that. Go for that. Go for that. Sorry.
No, no. I was just gonna. I don't even know what I just said. So to fill the silence.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
What were
okay.
you gonna say?
Yeah. So what I mentioned before is that I believe that all of us creators who make our own craft always intends to put our own visions, like we talked about it, ourself, our like own past memories, losses, love, everything that we experience throughout life in the past into the craft we make. Is this statement of mine true for your life and your games as well? That you put any forms of like your own past experiences, losses, love, anything that you had experienced throughout your life into your games, into your art, and into your stories that you made? This word, like you said before.
Yeah, but not intentionally. I'll
Okay,
just. I have like. I'll have like. I don't know what makes me like write the. I just uh like supernatural beings and stuff,
I see.
angels and death
I
and
see.
the apocalypse and zombies and the devil, like, and gods and Norse gods and Egyptian gods, like, so that's just something that I think is cool.
I see.
But you can, like, I can go back later and see how the things I make or like write are uh some kind of reflection. Like, it sounds pretentious when I say it, so I don't like to talk about it, but since you asked, like, it's a reflection of whatever uh the flavor of that period was. So like when
I
we
see.
made Manual Samuel, that was we started making Manual Samuel on the first year that I was not a student anymore.
I see.
We were working as teachers at the time,
I see.
and it was, it's a game about doing everything manually, and it was created in a period of my life when I woke up one day and had to all of a sudden pay my bills manually, figure out what to pay in taxes manually. It did not happen on its own. I had to manually find a place to live instead of just being on the campus. I had to manually like buy furniture and shit. I had never owned furniture before. And the guy in like Sam, he's a guy that has had everything handed to him his whole life, and then one day he has to do everything manually. So you could say, yeah, that's probably the some of the reason that story came, the idea came, or like the way it goes.
I see.
It was because we're in life right then, and in Helheim Hassel we had a bunch of reasons for making a Viking game about throwing your limbs around. But one of the themes is, and I always make the theme like subtle because, again, I don't want it to overshadow like the main story because I like the gods and stuff and
I see.
interacting. I like the way like the horse people from hell interact with like Norse gods, and there's like an Egyptian god in Helheim later, and we explore like those myths and stuff, but we add our own humoristic spin to them. But the theme of Helheim Hassel is figuring out where where you belong, and that's why everybody says belong in that game. Like, everybody says it with like a southern twang, and that's how I directed it too. And you write it like belong with a W, and it's so Björn, he's not like the other Vikings. Uh Everybody wants to die and go to Valhalla, but he wants to die of old age and go to Helheim, which is like something no Viking wants. And then he accidentally dies in battle and goes to Valhalla anyway. And he's like, no, that's not where I belong and stuff. And then like he gets resurrected later by Pesto, who needs a translator to because she's going to Helheim to pick up a sword for Satan, and she needs somebody to translate like the runes and the signs and stuff for her. So she resurrects Björn, and Björn is like, "Oh my God, you got me out of Valhalla, so let's do a deal. Like, if I help you, you'll put in a good word for me to the goddess of the dead in Helheim and ask if I can stay there. And the whole game, Pesto is like, I don't belong here. Like, I'm supposed to be in hell. This place is too cold. I don't like the names. Like, she can't pronounce any of the names, like Baldar, Björn, Odin, Huldra, whatever, like Norse thing they meet. Like, she can't pronounce the name. She's constantly complaining about being too cold, how much she like misses hell, and at some point she gets used to it and stuff. And while Björn, like, he gets to Helheim and he gets to stay there and stuff. And I had like written a bunch of things there where he just goes like, "All right, well, this place like isn't amazing either." Like, he's trying to figure out where he belongs and stuff.
I see.
And that's and everybody like, nobody calls Björn his name the entire game. Peso says Bjorn. Odin says I hate this place underscore two. They call him Kid and Carrot, and like everybody has like nickname to him, except Hugin and Munin, who are like the only two characters that like respect him. So they call him Björn, but everybody else calls him like something else, like a nickname. And that's like me being uh like, if I had to put words to that, like why I wrote it like that, it's just me being Norwegian software running on
I see.
Turkish hardware.
I see.
So in
I see.
Norway, like, people will always ask me, "Hey, where are you like really from?" Even though I have like a thick dialect in Norway, like I speak Western Norwegian, and I'm in all uh, purposes a Norwegian. But like, people will, they see my face and they're like, "Ooh, but where are you, like, parents from or whatever?" And when I go to Turkey, I speak with an accent now because I'm not that much in Turkey
I
anymore.
see.
So also there, people will ask, "But where are you really from?" So like, no matter where I go, I'm not like where I'm supposed to be.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um,
I spent my
a little
childhood
bit
in a total different country, by the way, so I can totally
right.
relate to that thing that you just said. That's why I was saying that yeah, people are always like that, right? So and
But
that's
I
why
mean, nobody's mean or anything.
yeah,
It's
I
just
understand
like,
it, but
I mean, they'll
still,
just ask.
it gets you to a point, and me too, where we feel this, right? That we do not belong anywhere in the world, right? And it
Yeah.
sucks at the end
So
of the
that's
day.
that's the subtle theme of Helheim Hassle. Like, everybody there is like, and that there's this huge troll that accidentally rips off Björn's arms. That's when you unlock like the second arm that you can detach and stuff.
I
And
see.
he goes like, "Everybody's so fragile here. I don't belong here." And then he's like starts crying and runs off because he's from the troll place. And then there's the goblins who work there. Like, they're from Britain, so they're like, they have scarves and stuff, and they have to work in Helheim. So everybody has some kind of like issue or a comment on if they belong on the road to Helheim or not.
I see.
So like, that's like the team. So I'll usually figure out like a team and then weave it in. But like, the plot is he's trying to escape all these gods and go to Helheim, and you have to detach your body
I
parts.
see.
And the Holy Gosh Darn is about what you're supposed to do.
I
And
see.
everybody's like, "Oh, what am I supposed to do?" Like, Peter, he's supposed to say dog the whole day, even though it doesn't make sense. And Puriel is like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to measure the purity of soul that comes in here. I've never done it before because there are no souls. So it's like, it's a stupid thing that I'm supposed to be doing." And then you have like Biblical Eagle Creature and the other guardians of God's throne, and he goes, "What's the point of having guardians of a throne if there's nobody to guard it from because there's no humans there?" So it's like, I don't like, there nobody's happy with what they're supposed to do. And then Cassiel, she has been idle for thousands of years, and then she has to save heaven, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's Lord's work." And so she's a little bit reluctant, but like, she persists, and she knows that that's very clearly what she's supposed to do. And every time she does something that she's supposed to do, she gets more grace, and you unlock more power ups. Even though the joke is that she gets the grace when she does Lord's work, and the Lord's work is always hurting someone. Like, killing is the best Lord's work. So every time you're like violent or mean to somebody, she gets a little bit more grace. And then there's like points in the game where you do something so mean that you like level up and her grace starts like glowing even more. But all the characters you meet, they'll go like, all right, and death is like, okay, so I did something I was not supposed to do. Those phantoms happen because what happened to them was not supposed to happen. So the team there is what's anybody supposed to do, and that's
I see.
again me, uh, you know, uh, bouncing between writing and animating, and I've done a lot of YouTube and Twitch the last 3 years, and but that's not because I noticed that there are many people who just do one thing, like they're like, I'm a YouTuber, I make YouTube videos, or
Yeah.
I'm a writer, I
I can
only
relate
write.
to that again. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And
like
then
like
I'm
why
like,
why you should choose, right? People always say this, that you should choose because you can only like be good at something if it's just one thing. But I don't agree with that, right? So there are a lot of like multi-talented people who are trying to pursue their dreams in multiple forms, and I think that you if you were born like that, like if you have like talents and passion and vision for a lot of things, then you can pursue those dreams of yours. You shouldn't be like choosing just one of them. Of course, I understand that people say this because it's like if you put more time into just one thing, it will deliver like the best. But I can also relate to what you said, and I agree with you that sometimes it's not like the main goal that should be like the best, like who we are competing with, right? And why even we are competing with other people in forms of art, right? Because I can understand that people are competing in sports, but why we are competing in art? If it's like really every time we deliver a vision, it might be similar to others' vision, but like you said, also a game will be totally different from B game, right? And it will be like understandable that even if it's A is about love and B is about love, they won't be like that much similar because A was written by A person and B was written by B person, and it's understandable
yeah.
in my opinion. And that's why I do not understand when people like wants these games to be compared on the, I don't know, same genre or same topic. They can't, because like not in my opinion, not every story is the same, and you wouldn't be finding those same stories because even we experienced similar things in life, it will be totally different through our past memories. And that's what I love about your story and honesty as well. By the way, I appreciate your honesty because, like you said, that you never really talked about that, but on my show you started talking about that and you told me this story of yours. So I'm very thankful and very honored for that. You being honest here. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, so I wanna do, I wanna write and I wanna animate, and I could have, uh, like I recently like started dabbling with like making music, and I'll try to write a comic all of a sudden, or like
Okay.
draw an illustration, but I can't help but think every time I do it, this is not a good way of spending my time. Like I every time I make a song, I like make little songs on a software I have. Like once I'm done and I like hyper focus on it, I might spend like a weekend like going crazy, or like all of a sudden I'm like, I'm gonna make this song, and then once I'm done, like once the high of creating that is over, I feel really bad. I'm like, I could have spent that time honing my skills in writing or animation or something. And because the song is not going to be good, by the way, like because it's not what I do. Or if I like all of a sudden spend a bunch of time, like I'm going to make an illustration and I'll be done with it. I'm like, well, all right, shit. Why did I should have written something instead. So that's the issue with me. Like I get bad conscience for like all of a sudden deciding I want to do something else, but for some reason it keeps changing like what I'm obsessed with, like, and then suddenly I'll go like, I'm gonna go all in on YouTube this year, and I'll make a bunch of YouTube videos like let's plays and reviews and whatever, and I'm like, but I'm not a, if somebody goes like, oh, you're a YouTuber, I'm like, no, I'm not that. I make YouTube videos, but I wouldn't call myself a YouTuber. If I have to call myself something, I guess writer. then, but
And I
I
will
don't
add
even read.
animator as well.
Yeah, an
Therapy
animator, I
session, like I
guess.
said.
But like, I
Yeah.
don't even read books almost. I don't have the patience. I'll read a book if it's amazing from the first sentence. So when I read a book, I either abandon it after the first page or
I
I
see.
read the whole thing in 2 days. That's the
I
only
was
two
similar
ways I
with that
read a
too.
book.
I was similar in high school years of mine to your method as well, because I don't know. It's probably that some of us like you and me are like securing our own vision by not consuming that much from others. Although I
Mm.
play a lot of games, like I try to play with every game, but I'm always trying to not be that influenced from those games and to just focus on my vision, because I believe that it's weird to say, right? Because it's like it can sound mean, but at the end of the day, it's really, I think that you can always be influenced by other forms of art that you consume on the daily level, but still
Yeah.
like you have to like not let those forms of art that you consumed like have this very high level of influence when you make your own craft, yeah, at least in my opinion, because it will be like not just you but the things that you consume, which is not bad, so don't get me wrong, it's not bad at all. Like it's not like, yeah, I don't know if your favorite movie was Star Wars or any sci-fi movies, and you like form and make a movie of your own which is like also sci-fi, it's not bad, but it's like, I don't know, you
Well,
might
I
be like
can.
way more talented in making, I don't know, drama movies or love movies in a way different setting. So it's just, that influence which might like give you that direction that, like you said, you might not supposed to be. And who we are to know where should we supposed to be, right? So that's the ultimate question of life, our goals. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that my favorite movie is a movie called Dogma, which is about
Okay.
angels,
Okay.
and my favorite book is a book called Good Omens, which is also about demons and angels.
Okay.
So like, yeah, I love that movie and that book. Like and also Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But yeah, I probably I had a lot of influence from that, and also the show Supernatural. I always loved that show because all of the things exist simultaneously, and that is the my vision for the perfect paranormal universe. Is that you have the Norse gods and the Egyptian gods and the reptilians and whatever else, Bigfoot and ghosts, and like everything is real. And that was the case on Supernatural. I just loved how they sometimes like even and the way like those things from different mythologies or legends like interact with each other sometimes, like if Bigfoot meets aliens or whatever, like that. I don't know, I feel that's really awesome.
True. True.
That tickles something in me that I also
No, I
wanna
can relate to that, and it
make.
also like resonates with what you said before. Is that like people should not like separate you as like a person of just doing this and just doing that, right? So it really resonates with the clear vision of yours of the games that you have made. That these mythologies can live in one place as well, right? So we shouldn't
Yeah.
like just say that I'm invested only in this because I live there or something like that. So it's really like, I would say that it's like being more cultural, open minded about things that we like live in. So we always tend to put ourselves in this smaller box that, I don't know, if we are, for example, for me, I'm a Hungarian and I only should consume Hungarian culture, but it's not true, right? In my opinion, I should consume every culture, like to understand the world that we live in, right? So it's like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. And I think it's society really teaches us to be like that, to put ourselves from day to day in a way more smaller box, that we are limiting ourselves and our imagination, especially to not realize what are we supposed to do and where we belong, and all these
Yeah.
important, at the end of the day, they are important, these questions. And I think that the society makes us not wanting to answer or search for the answer for these questions. We just go to work, we just, at the best option of our life, we'll die like, I don't know, us being like 103 years, and that's all, that's life. And yeah, it sucks at the end of the day. And it really shows that people start not to care about these things that we used to care about as we were kids, right? So we forgot it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so again, a more personal question would be from me, like, how do you think you have changed in other territories of your life from being a game developer, an animator, and everything that you have done in your life throughout the journey of pursuing your dreams, even if it was art, making art, even if it was like, you know, writing
Like how I've changed
stories.
as a person,
Yeah, in other
or
territories of your own life, like if you just uh, picture you being in the video game industry for all those years and you made your games, how those games and experiences with making those games changed you as a person in other territories
hmm,
of your life, like what have you learned or what have you like.
I've become more confident.
Okay.
But I mean, I've been a game developer my entire adult life. I mean, I started the school where we make games when I was 19 or
Okay.
20. So this is at this point like uh creating things or talking about creating things is the only thing I know how to do, and I still don't feel like I know it either. But I've become less humble.
I
Like
see.
I'll say, yeah, I'm pretty good at writing dialogue. All right, this is my rate. But like before, I was always like, oh no, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm
I see.
doing.
I see.
But now I've done it for so long that I can like see. Once I start like seeing something that isn't working, um, and I'll like say my piece on it, and people will listen, the more that happens, I'm like, maybe I know what I'm talking
I see.
about.
I see. I see. I see. I see.
So that's the only thing. Like I become less humble in certain aspects of like producing something like a script or a character design
I
or
see.
like or I'll always quote it in like this is how I used to do it and it works. Like I don't know what your approach is like if I'm giving like somebody feedback that is also professional, and I'll like raise my concerns. But before I would, at the start I wouldn't. Of course, I wouldn't like on our first game that we made commercially. I've done it professionally in big quotes for like a year. Like I'm not gonna start telling people how they should do something.
I
Like I
see.
remember when we did the voices for Manuel Samuel, there was like minimal direction from me. They
I
would
see.
like do the line, I'd go like, "All right, awesome, wow, that sounds so professional and cool. Okay, let's move on," you know. And but by the time we made Helheim Hassle, like I would give direction and I'd
I
go like, "No,
see.
I would
I
like it
see.
like this," and I would do it reluctantly. I would go like I felt horrible the first sessions doing Helheim Hassle directions, or I was like nervous. I didn't feel horrible, but I was always a little bit afraid that the voice actor would go, "Stop telling me how to do my job."
I
But like
see.
that's the
I
job
see.
of
I
the
see. I see. I
director.
see. I see. I see. I
You're
see. I see.
supposed to direct,
Yeah.
uh, but none of them did it, and they were like, "Oh, that was an amazing session. Thank you so much." And then like the game ended up being awesome, and everybody was talking about how much they like the voice acting and stuff. And the more I do those things, uh, like but yeah, I'm just a little bit more confident. Like
I see.
I'll still not like think that I'm like I know like um in writing and in art and stuff like this. Like I'm not the best at any of those things, so I won't like just go out and tell everybody like unwanted feedback on their stuff and whatnot. But like if I do have a position on a creative project, like if I get hired as a writer, or like just a dialogue writer or something, then like if I see that something isn't like is not, if I have some feedback on, let's say, some like a quest on a game where I'm only supposed to write dialogue, I'll just say like, wouldn't it be should we look into like, is that the best way of doing, like I'll try to be humble, but I'll say it. But I wouldn't have done that like 5 years ago maybe. I'll go like, oh, I'll stay in my lane, I'm not gonna mess with the
But it's
like
still your
quest or
vision that should
whatever.
shape the whole game, right? So you should still be in charge at the end of the day, in my
Oh yeah,
opinion.
no, on
It
my
makes
own
sense
games,
at the end of the day, yeah.
on my own games, I like when working on perfect paranormal games, I comment on everything, every little thing. Like I'll go like, that sound for when the door makes that sound, like it's not supposed to be like that because that's just, like I'll comment on every little small whatever it is. I'll go get into everybody's lane when doing a perfectly paranormal game. But if I get hired to do the dialogue for a different company or something, then um like I'll only comment if I like, if I yeah, I'm more confident on commenting on stuff on other
That's
projects.
also like the creative person in you, right? So you want to add your own visions, and it's understandable in my opinion. You wanting the games that, not your games but other companies' games,
But
to have freedom
I'll
of giving every vision
I'll
in it.
explore it at least. I'll
I
go
see.
like, all right, so this what do you all like? I'll, like change it right now. Talk
Just
to
think about it, yeah.
whoever does.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll go like run it with the rest of the team because I'm gonna do like one aspect.
true.
I don't, I might come with some or something, but I'm not,
I
so I'll
see.
just bring it up, and if and if it's not like that because of this and this and this, gotcha. But
I
that's the
see.
way I have changed. Like I come, I'll comment on, I won't, but I'll just like more confidently bring
That's up to your
suggestions.
minds,
I'll
yeah.
suggest that aren't in my lane. More um but not like all over the
I
place.
see. I see.
Just a bit slightly lower now
I
to the start. But like as a person or something, I still watch Ninja Turtles.
Me too. And I love the new game, by the way. I love the long game, and it reminded me of those old. Like, by the way, my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back from 2003, if you remember.
My favorite as well.
Five
Teenage Mutant
season.
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Yeah,
Theater.
exactly,
Yeah, I
exactly.
binged that show. That's
And
Ninja Turtles.
yeah, I was so sad, by the way. Dubbed that show in Hungary here, the fifth
Right.
season at least. They did all the 4 seasons, but if